If you're a parent of 4 children or more, we know there's not a whole lot of 7-seaters on the market, and then add in the fact that you might be considering going electric and there's very few options. In fact, the only real ones I can think of is the EQB Mercedes-Benz, the Tesla Model X, and then there's a few vans that have been put into passenger versions and have 7-seaters. However, we now have this, the Kia EV9, and it looks very American. Now, it's not American, it's very much South Korean. However, it does give off a very American SUV vibe to me. It's very big. To begin with, these 21-inch alloy wheels look tiny on the car, but massive against me. And then there's the whole boxy shape from the rear. It's really, really cool. However, it is massive. It's about 2 meters wide. Now, it is electric, so we'll be talking about charging, but what I will say is it can gain about 249 kilometers range in 15 minutes. Mega fast charging, 238 kilowatts to be precise. Huge boot, 6 and 7 seat options, 4 ISOFIX points, which we'll be talking about. There's so much on offer from the new EV9. And just again, look at how grand it is. When you sit back and think about it, only a few manufacturers have successfully rebranded in the last few years. First of all, we've got Peugeot. They've done a superb job. And then Kia have also been phenomenal at this. If you think about the new Sportage is a cracking car, the EV6 is gorgeous and extremely successful, and now the EV9. Now, this does come at a cost, because not only has the car become more premium, but you also need a little bit more money to purchase one. The starting price for the EV9 is €77,500, and that's with the Earth spec. For that, you're getting a rear wheel drive version. However, behind me here is the GT line. That costs about €85,000. However, with that, you're getting a dual motor, so it's 4-wheel drive, a lot more power. However, they both come with the same battery, so it's a 95 kilowatt hour usable battery, and the range on the rear wheel drive is 563 kilometers, and on the all-wheel drive, that one is about 505 kilometers. Yesterday, full charge on this, I had 438 kilometer range. Right now it's about 7 or 8 degrees outside, so that's pretty decent, to be fair. And actually, Kia have always been quite honest with their ranges. To drive the EV9, I'm going to summarize it in 3 words. Number 1, very, very comfortable. You whack on the massage seat in the GT line and you can cruise for hours. Number 2 is that it's very, 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 very big. About 2 meters wide, and you definitely notice that when you're driving around some smaller Irish roads. And number 3, this is a thing that I've noticed in a lot of new cars, and it's this noise, right? You have to drive fast to hear it. Well, not that fast. You have to go about 1 kilometer an hour over the speed limit, and it will bing and bong. And I tell you what, after a while, it does your head in. Anyway, in Kia's defense, I had this last week in a BMW i5. I've had it in a Hyundai. You get it in every single new car because it's European regulation. But I will say, it's a little bit frustrating. It can be turned off, but it's just kind of one of those processes. Now, really moving on to what it's like to drive. Around town, as I said, it is quite big, but actually you've got a great camera system, which will give you an overhead 360 look. So if you're parking in tight spots, that will help massively. It also has a pretty good turning circle. If you're going around a corner where there's a little curb, you put on your indicator and you get a little camera where your rear wheel is. They've really prepared it to make it as easy to drive around town as possible. Let's take a look at the rear, and to get in here I'm gonna have to take my shoes off because it's a little bit too nice. It's gorgeous to sit in, really comfortable chairs. This is the 6-seater option. There is also a 7-seater, which is probably a little bit more practical, but maybe not as comfortable. Loads of knee room, and actually the seat can be moved forwards and back. And just lots of nice features. You can pull out this drawer here. There's some nice storage in there, USB-C charging points, independent climate control. It really has it all. And actually what's more is if I step back out into my shoes, wait till you see what you can do with this seat. So you pull this lever here and it will actually, oh, I've gone the wrong way. I think it only goes one way. Yeah, this is the way. But wait till you see this. And then you get the seat into this position. Now, I've probably chosen the wrong side to do this on because it is limited on space, but what you can do with the passenger side is that you can actually push the passenger seat forward and then you've got loads and loads of room, and it's just a little bit of a lounge. And I actually also want to talk about the rear seats. So obviously if the seat's in this position, it's actually quite easy to get in. And the last 7-seater I had was the Nissan X-Trail, which is a great car, but in terms of space, this is another level. And in fact, if we bring this back to its original position, you'll see now in a second, and we pop this up, I have so much knee room back here. As a whole, I can even recline electrically my seat. It's brilliant. And there's ISOFIX points back here. So if you have 4 children who are all under the age of whatever age you need to have a child seat at, it's perfect. So the interior of the EV9, or the cockpit, it's a lovely place to sit. It's not that dissimilar to something like an EV6, however, there are some subtle changes. We'll start with the infotainment system. So you've kind of got a big long screen and it's divided up into 3. So your infotainment here, easy to use. Only bad point is you still need a wire for Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. I feel like in 2023 and going into 2024, it should be wireless. Then here, I suppose in front of us, we've got the digital display. That's where all the driving information is. We're well used to that. But now we have this climate control in the middle. I've seen some reviews, people complaining that the steering wheel's in the way. I do agree. However, there are some shortcuts down here, which just, realistically, you're going to use this most of the time, and if you just hit that plus arrow, it all comes up here on your main infotainment system screen. As far as the seats go, really comfortable. I've never seen so much adjustability in a car like this. It's brilliant. You can get the seat exactly how you like, and then there's this big center console, 2 large drink holders, there's wireless charging, some storage down there, big glove box. The steering wheel is really nice. There's still some buttons. You can change your volume, and actually over here you've got a volume dial as well. As a whole, they've really thought about the end user. The heated steering wheel seats and cool seats, that's all over here on the door, and it's just a really nice place to sit. One other thing Kia are very proud of is that the interior is very eco-friendly. So it's polyurethane everything, bioplastic. It's all about renewing and recycling to create this interior, which is kind of nice, especially if you are interested in buying an EV. Now there is also some different off-road modes. There's mud, sand, snow, which could be useful a couple of days a year, but they just kind of add that because it does give you a sense that this is a true SUV. On top of that, in terms of power, well, this one, because it's the GT line, it has the twin motor, it's 380 brake horsepower, and that is no slouch. It's very, very quick in a straight line. I definitely wouldn't be throwing it into corners because it is very, very heavy and it rolls a little bit, but other than that, the suspension's pretty smooth. It glides over bumps and it is quite good. In terms of autonomous driving features, well, it is a Kia, so you can only expect the best. They've been brilliant at this since the late 2010s. They've been really, really good at lane keep. They also now have the new Highway Driving Assist 2, which is a step up from the previous version, and it's brilliant. I also love, like a lot of electric cars, it's more or less got one pedal driving with the regenerative braking. These paddles can adjust it here, and as you can see, you can pretty much come to complete halt, which is unreal. And the last thing I want to bring your attention to, and it's kind of going back to those beeps, this is something that was in the Aura Funky Cat, and we now have it in the Kia EV9, is this driver monitoring system. And it actually will pay attention to me where I'm looking whilst I'm driving. And a few times I've been talking to camera for a touch too long, and it will beep in 3, 2, there it is. like clockwork every single time. It means you can't look at your phone, which I do support. It is a great feature. However, you do find yourself the odd time reading a billboard, looking at a bus, and then it starts beeping at you. Is it weird if I get very excited about the boot? Probably, but you know what? This is the best boot on the market. I've never seen a better boot than this. And I know this is so strange, but let me at least justify it. To begin with, all seats up, 313 litres, which is bigger than some small hatchback cars. It's also extremely functional. So you've got this protective layer, which even Velcros on the back of that third row seat, which means if you're slinging in bikes, it's no problem at all. You've got a 12-volt socket over here. You have a 3-pin socket over here. It's absolutely insane. And then you can just fold the seats at a touch of a button. So if we want to fold down the third row, now we've just increased the boot size to 828 litres, which is pretty insane. But you can even go one step further and you can fold that third row, which is much, much quicker. And that increases it to nearly 2,400 litres. You could take this, put a mattress in it, and go camping. So in a nutshell, it is ever so slightly big around town, but any 7-seater SUV realistically is going to be. It's very comfortable. It beeps a lot, but as a whole, actually really nice. The ride's brilliant. Get it on the motorway. You can gobble up those 500 kilometers like it's no problem whatsoever. And when you do stop at a charger, it will charge very, very quickly. So what's the verdict? Well, it's big, but it's also really, really luxurious, and it's something different, which I quite like. And what's more is you probably don't have a whole lot of options when it comes to this market. As we mentioned, there is a couple. We also have the EX90, which is Volvo's contribution to the 7-seater electric SUV, which will be coming in 2024, but that's about it. So if you need an electric 7-seater, then it might be your best option. However, there's also going to be a huge proportion of people who will just buy it because it's big, it's a bit of a statement, it's quite cool, and it has a lot of nice tech. Anyway, that is our review. If you'd like to learn more, then head to donedeal.ie and you can see all sorts of cars for sale. We've got over 1,000 trusted dealerships all over the country. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.